Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Welcome to Live from Saturn. I am Duncan Gale, also known as White Adam.
I'm Cody Shazam Decker. Nothing happened.
Oh, well, maybe next time.
Yeah, and I would just real quick, you may notice with the different style of thumbnails.
Yeah.
We had a very generous person say that they would like to take up the mantle to do thumbnails because I have no artistic skill. Their name is Bulls01.
Thank you, Bull01, for your excellent work on our thumbnails so far and in the future.
And I will find out your real name eventually.
Yep.
And this is Bulls01. Bulls of the Weepsty Boys, if you want to... Oh, no. Okay, yeah. That's what he said. It's Bulls of the Weepsty Boys. He also has a podcast.
Check it out.
So.
All right, so now that we're done with the introductions, so we are going to be looking at Black Adam today, the new film starring Dwayne Johnson, and it's the latest DC EU film, and
I think, and they just dropped that. They just changed it to DCU.
DCEU.
Yeah, they dropped the E.
Oh, they just dropped the E?
Yeah.
Wow, that's okay. That's very recent then. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a week ago.
All right.
They're trying to be. They're like, we can't be MCU, DC. But
yeah, they're trying to model some other, much more successful business model. It's weird how that happens, but okay. So we're going to be looking at the film Black Adam. So a little bit of background about Black Adam. It's a new superhero film starring Dwayne Johnson as the titular Black Adam, or Adam Teth, as he's referred to throughout most of the movie.
So Teth, they didn't have a word for black, but Adam, they're like, it's
that's
still
right.
Adam.
Yeah, that's still the same. So we got him in there, and then we got Aldous Hodge playing Hawkman. We've got Sarah Shahi in there playing a major character. We have Pierce Brosnan in there playing Dr. Fate. Also have Quintessa Swindell as Cyclone, and Noah Centineo as he is Atom Smasher. I believe that's right. Yes, yeah. So those are the main characters in there. So this film is directed by Jaume Collet-Serra, who also directed Jungle Cruise, that starred Dwayne Johnson, that movie that came out recently based on the Disney theme park ride. He also, going back further, he directed that horror movie Orphan, which I don't ever really watch horror movies, but did you see that?
It's like a spooky car.
No, it's with like this spooky girl on the posters. It's like it's dressed in like Victorian garb. Orphan.
She's got like a little thing around her neck.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's
Jungle Cruise and Orphan.
Yeah. And also that House of Wax remake with Paris Hilton.
Not a bad horror movie.
Really?
I like it.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
The premise is, by the end of it, you're like, I'm not taking this seriously. But like, there's,
right.
like, oh my god.
Well, the original is based on a Vincent Price movie, so you can't ever really take that but so seriously.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah. But okay, so Black Adam. So who is he? Well, he is he's the hottest, latest DC superhero that is going to just really, his merchandise is going to fly off the shelves now.
It's going to shake up the hierarchy.
That's right. But, we're getting to the point, I'm definitely a big, Marvel head, not as much into the DC, although I like DC, but, with Marvel, we're getting to the point where, there are they're adapting some characters where I'm not so familiar with them, and now DC is getting to that point as well.
Already,
it's like, okay, Black Adam, who is that? So he is a character that is connected to Shazam, or Captain Marvel, if you know the true origins of that character. He has the same basic kind of costume as Shazam. He's got like the lightning bolt on it. But tonally, this movie's pretty different from Shazam. I mean, I actually really like the Shazam movie that came out recently. I thought that was one of the strongest of the DC movies. But this movie is very different. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I feel like watching Shazam, I was like, this is gonna be like trash. And I'm like,
right.
That's nice. I'm just watching. I'm like, that was neat.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. Yeah. But this movie, not so fun.
A different kind of fun.
Right, yeah. A more thinking man's fun. You have to think about it. Was this fun? Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah. All right, so and we basically just chose this because it came out recently. This is the hot movie out now that all the kids are talking about. So who is this movie for? If you liked all of the DC movies so far, I guess it's for you.
If you really want DC to start being like on the level of Marvel,
right?
This isn't bad.
Yeah.
I would say this got me to think I'm going to start enjoying superhero movies again.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I was just sort of thinking like, this much like something like Moon Knight that we covered recently. One thing that Moon Knight and Black Adam have in common for me, it's like, okay, I'm sure that there are people out there who are fans of these characters. I'm not personally. I've never met anybody who is, but I'm sure those people exist.
They pop up as soon as the movie's announced, and then they show the same screenshot that's been circulating online of like one notable scene.
Right.
And they're like, and then you're like, that's an edit for Moon Knight. They're making fun of how obscure the character is, and they're like,
Right.
Dracula doesn't owe him money. I'm like, no, it's a joke. Black Adam. It's a little because I love Dr. Doom.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, me too. One of the best characters of all time.
It's in a similar vein, which is it's a character who is like I only really care about like my homeland,
right?
And I don't like anything else doesn't matter. So it's like so if Batman showed up, he'd be like, "No, go away.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna help you." And like you're mean.
Right.
He's like, "I'm not a hero."
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. This is one thing that. DC tends to do. I noticed that they did a lot with Suicide Squad as well, where it's like they have a certain concept for something, and they really hit that concept hard. With Suicide Squad, it was like, well, no, these are actually the bad guys, and they're doing good things. Huh? What? And in this case, it's Black Adam. He's not a hero. He is an anti-hero.
If only we had a word for someone who wasn't a superhero.
That's right. Yeah.
Doesn't exist.
No, it doesn't. Yeah. No. I didn't just say it. Yeah. But the comparison to Doctor Doom is apt, and also some connections to the Submariner as well. Prince Namor, the Submariner. Yeah, because sort of like a character that sort of began as a villain, but then they sort of sort of worked him as no, he's not actually bad, he's just he's just concerned about his own thing, about his own people.
There's a phenomenon where in any comic, Marvel or DC, if the character is popular enough, they just stop being a villain.
Exactly. Yeah.
Harley Quinn's on that now.
Harley Quinn.
And it's just like, oh, why? It's like, well, because she's popular. It's like,
that's right.
Yeah, Venom's like, that's cool. It's like, okay, well, he's an anti-hero.
Yeah. Venom, Deadpool, of course, characters like that. So, that's basically the sort of character that Black Adam is,
Which does bring to a point, and I know this might be touchy, but Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, he was the guy to finally dethrone Stone Cold Steve Austin in wrestling, which was when I was like, I'm no more. I'm done with wrestling. I think it's a tragedy because the era of a bionic redneck fighting an undead zombie is gone now. Now it's just like, I'm John Cena. I wear jean shorts, and it's like, what? Okay, what? Are you from the future? And he's like, no, I'm just a guy. And so I deeply resented him for that. So he had quite the hill to get over for me. But also, yeah, wrestling also has heels and faces.
Right,
so,
right.
So that would also be a thing where you would start as a heel, and if you were popular enough, you would have a redemption
You
arc.
would do a heel face turn. Is that
Yes.
right? Yeah. I know a little bit of the lingo.
My favorite was Triple H's, and then like the two face characters were like, "You set my mom on fire," and then spit in her coffin, and he just goes, "Yeah, my bad."
That was his redemption arc. Yeah, my bad. Okay, that's good.
Wrestling's very funny. You should.
No, I can see the appeal of it. Yeah. All right.
But yeah, so that's I'm a little anti Dwayne because I'm always pro Stone Cold.
Okay, that's fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I like Dwayne Johnson mostly because of his roles in the Fast and Furious movies. I'm a big fan.
Oh
of
yeah,
those.
if you like Fast and the Furious 7, you'll love Black Adam.
Will you?
Yeah, you get people with superpowers that are like fighting, and then they like hate each other for a bit.
Yeah, because I did like Fast and Furious 7. Well, I guess we'll see in the unfolding discussion here, but I may be a counter argument to that.
Okay,
me myself, but I mean, it's interesting because the Fast and the Furious movies, I mean, they have a certain sense of humor to them, which I like. The Shazam movie, of course, had a certain sense of humor to it. This movie, not so much.
Not a sense of humor. There's like stuff that's like, I'm sure that's funny in universe.
They definitely make attempts to be funny.
Like you see two characters interact, and first of all, I was so excited that like the guy's like, "What's your name?" Atom Smasher, and no one went, "That's a stupid name. You're an idiot. What do you and then what do you smash atoms? Like who's Adam? Like I'm Black Adam."
Well, that's interesting, because I was just listening to a podcast where they were talking about how, a lot of people are going to make the connection of Atom Smasher and Black Adam. He was specifically created, to smash Black Adam, but I never made that connection.
I didn't either until just now.
Yeah, because, I was thinking, he's like the,
And they don't say that in the movie.
No, they don't.
They don't say, like, Atom Smasher smash Black Adam. And then he like grins like the whole. That seems like a huge. Well, now this movie's gone down, in my opinion. That's like a huge. That's like a great joke.
Yeah.
And I'm sure anyone would agree.
They did sort of miss that opportunity. Yeah.
But I did like that. Like I'm seeing these people interact, and they're kind of joking with each other. I'm not laughing, but I believe that they find it funny. Which is a new feeling for me. I've never experienced that watching something, being like, I don't think that's not funny. But I think that you guys, because you kind of like each other, you think it's a little funnier than it actually is. Well,
and that's an interesting thing about this movie, that relates to the sort of supporting characters, because, basically, we have the main character, Black Adam, but then we have this group that comes in, Hawkman, Dr. Fate, Atom Smasher, and Cyclone, who are the Justice Society of America. And this movie, I feel like, this movie could almost just be titled, like, the Justice Society of America instead of Black Adam. Like, this is a movie about them that focuses a little bit more on Black Adam. And there's a lot of things that are established, like, Hawkman and Dr. Fate are these, like, friends who have this great relationship. And you really do believe that relationship exists, even though the movie doesn't necessarily do such a great job of giving you but so much of that relationship.
I was surprised, because I'm like, I believe that they know each other. And they have like, they probably have inside jokes, and him, he's like, you and me after this, and I'm like, that's not hilarious, but I do think that's charming. And it's like, oh, this is like a team, and these are all believable people with different personalities, which is why I'm like, I like this kind of dynamic I'm seeing here, where not everyone talks the same, and that's a thing that I feel has been happening a lot.
This would be cool if these characters continue on in other movies. Hopefully one of these characters doesn't die at a certain point in this movie.
Certainly not my favorite.
Yeah.
Who made me like believe in the magic of cinema again.
That's right. Yeah. So, Yeah, so basically we have this sort of main character of this movie, but then these supporting characters that kind of almost take over the movie at a certain point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, to its other credit, this is the first time that I've had a tag-along kid character not actively annoy me and make sense. Like, it's like, oh, why is he, like, doing this, like, Terminator 2, you know, like,
right.
stuff? And I'm like, oh, they explain it. And I actually believe that he would have done that for a kid.
Yeah.
Even though he's like, I'm not a hero kid.
Right,
and, and then he punches a poster of Wonder Woman. I'm like, you can only imagine if he met the Justice League.
That's right.
Would have done that to him.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I think so far we have sort of, at best, we could say mixed feelings about this movie.
I liked the opening, and I liked the middle. In the ending, I was like, I don't know if that really...
Yeah, endings. Yeah, DC movies really still have a hard time with those. Yeah.
Cause, I mean, I was like, I still teared up at one of the things that happened in the ending, but I was like, I mean, I feel like that wasn't what was supposed to happen.
Right.
I feel like the fact that he was vulnerable to that element was supposed to come into play.
Right.
And I really like how they're like, people have futuristic technology. Because that's like an issue I have in Marvel, where they're like, we have all this tech, and Wakanda's like, and we'll share it. And then it's like, so did that affect anything? And they're like, no, like everyone's still driving like Hondas.
Right.
But in this, it's like, oh, that's a teleporting, phase shifting hover bike.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, that's cool. It's like, oh, I believe it's like there are probably organizations that can like fund people enough to like go toe to toe with like super beings.
Right. Well, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the tech. Yeah, that brings up an interesting kind of dynamic here. Yeah, so I mean, I guess, the basic kind of plot rundown is that there's this country, this kingdom, Kahndaq.
You got it exactly right. Kahndaq.
Okay, good. All right, good. So, Kahndaq, and and it seems kind of like ancient Egypt a little bit, and sort of those vibes a little bit. Yeah, that's kind of how the movie starts out, and so yeah, this ancient kingdom where most people are enslaved, and then this one little kid wants to like break out of slavery and take over the king, and he finds this element. I forget what the element is called.
Eternium.
But it's Eternium. Thank you. Yeah, and so that basically gives him superpowers, and so he destroys.
That's a good point. It doesn't actually give him.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Well, yeah.
You think it would, because that seems because it's like, oh, he found it, but like because he stole it and he didn't give it back, because like the guy who found it was like, can I not be a slave anymore? I thought we were supposed to get like payment.
Yeah.
And he gets killed.
Yeah, and the guy's like, here's your payment. Yeah, and the guard just stabs the guy. Yeah. So this is, I mean, again, Black Adam is part of the sort of Shazam mythos, the Captain Marvel Shazam mythos.
The first Shazam. And
that's right.
I actually like what this movie did more, because they're basically in the comics, they're just like the wizards who chose them. They're we goofed up.
Right,
and it's like, oh, you just like guess? You just guess completely.
Yeah.
That they would be a good pick.
Right. Yeah. This guy seems promising. Yeah, upstart slave. Yeah. Let's give him powers. Yeah.
You don't have like a psychic ability or like any like magical ability to like verify that.
Right.
They actually just have to like be like that guy would probably be good.
No, these are wizards. These are not Dr. Fate.
That's
okay. They don't have the Dr. Fate powers.
They can't see the future.
They can't see the future.
They're in the black.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, these are wizards, not sorcerers.
Oh, okay, my mistake.
If there's a distinction there.
There it is. I believe wizards, sorcerers channel an outside power, and wizards channel their own inside.
Okay.
So Doctor Strange is a sorcerer because he's saying like, oh, this phrase will summon this demon's ability.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And a wizard is like, lightning bolt.
Okay. Got it. All right. Good. Yeah.
So you can all relax.
Right. So yeah, back in ancient times, this kid gets the Eternium, and then that causes him to be chosen by the Wizard Council, the same council that gives Shazam his powers. They give him his powers, and
specifically because he like tried to keep it and then not give it to them, and then they're like, we're going to execute you now.
Right.
And then like facing beheading, he was still like, like, this is our symbol, by the way.
Right.
And I guess it's what Eternium looks like, maybe.
Yeah. There's a symbol, where he like raises his hands, and that's like the symbol of resistance.
So stealing, or I guess just keeping the Eternium and then like not showing fear at execution is what made the wizards who are watching all this go like, oh, that guy.
Right.
Yeah, he's a good one. We'll take him.
Yeah.
So the Eternium is sort of like it, but also like it is relevant because it can.
Right.
It's one of the things that can weaken them. So it's relevant to their abilities, but not by getting them at all.
Right. Okay.
So it's connected to another person.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little.
Who is the other person it's connected to?
Another magical user that we meet later in the story.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The one that's like, I feel like you shouldn't have done that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. It's not a bad. I like that reveal and stuff, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
all right. So that's a spoiler.
I live my life thinking how people will comment any mistake. So
I got you. Yeah. Well. Yeah. I
see them in my brain go like the Eternium didn't directly give him.
Right.
It did give someone else, but not So
fair enough. Yeah. No. I definitely feel that way when we're talking about a Marvel thing, but when it comes to DC, it's like, hey. It's like I get to be like the dumb jock coming in to DC. It's like, hey, what is this? Okay, Eternium, what Shazam, whatever. Okay, so this it's fun for me.
Okay. Now it's my time to shine.
That's right. There you go.
He's chosen, and then it's like but it turns out he was actually very angry, having been
Right, had some anger issues,
and maybe didn't have a full grasp of his powers.
Right.
A lot of people died, and he was sealed away in a tomb or something.
Right.
For a reason.
For thousands of years.
They couldn't just take the power away or kill him.
Yeah, that's an interesting limitation on this Council of Wizards. Yeah, they can't act. It's no takebacks, right?
Yeah,
it's like we can't just take his power back. We have to do something to neutralize him. Yeah,
they have to pick a chosen one based purely off what they can see, and then they can't take it back. And also, that chosen one can pretty reasonably fight back against them, even if they even wanted to do anything about it. So maybe this council of wizards should get like a scientist or like a psychologist in there,
right,
and be like, I don't know if that's gonna work out in the long run. You should put in like a built-in weak point or something.
Yeah, that would seem reasonable.
But see, I thought that prologue, I'm like, that's not bad. I enjoyed it.
What
got me to be like, okay, because I am a sucker for certain things, and then playing, Bullet with butterfly wings? The world is a vampire. That when that happened, I went like,
9 Inch Nails.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
When that came on, when it cuts to the future, I was like, dang it, I like the movie.
Okay. Yeah.
I wish it wasn't that simple. And here's the thing. You have a very powerful character sealed away. So despite all his rage, he's still just a rat in a cage.
Yeah. That's another thing about these DC movies. It's like, whenever there's a song, it's like, okay, what's the most obvious, on-the-nose song that we can come up with for what's going on? Yep, that one.
Yeah. Which does have nothing to do with the culture or setting.
Right,
or I would argue feeling of watching this. It doesn't really, outside of it's a kid skateboarding.
Right,
and they really lean on that kid being able to skateboard, which does not even seem like it lets him go that much faster. Because there's a lot of time where he's like crawling with it. I'm like, just walk.
Right.
He's going at crawling speed. I'm like, that is not more quiet.
Yeah.
It's cool that you can do that. It's cool that you know how to skateboard. Mm-hmm. But I don't think it needs to be in this movie that much. But you have a kid skateboarding through like a military gang, gang.
Right. So that's the sort of dynamic of when the movie gets into the modern day. Yeah, Kahndaq is now this, country in the Middle East that is occupied by colonial forces.
Not ours.
Not ours necessarily, but unspecified Western
other bad guys
forces. That's right.
That the Justice Society of America is going to help.
That's right. Yeah. No. The Justice Society of America. Yeah, they
don't do that.
Yeah, they're the good imperialists. Yeah.
I actually did like how they talked about that.
Yeah. No, there were some interesting social issues.
Yeah, I like how they have like a genuine because they're like very anti-Black Adam, and it is nice that the people are like, this is. It reminded me of that one where Superman. It was like Superman versus like the British punks or whatever, where there's like a psychic British guy, and he's like, I'm gonna use my ability to just kill criminals and stop them. And Superman's like, no, that's wrong. And there's like people in fighter jets about to like blow up a building, and the psychic guy stops them, and he's like, and the crowd's like, kill those people. And he's like, all right, that's what the people want. And Superman's like, no, that's wrong and bad, and killing is wrong, and it's a bad thing to do. And he fights them, and it's like he just seems very like jealous and petty. That was honestly the final straw for me to be like, I don't like Superman. So it's a thing in DC that you'll have a character be like, yeah, I'm just gonna kill the criminal, and they're usually just told they're wrong because they get beat up at the end. And I like how that's not what happened in this.
Yeah,
I thought I was really surprised by how much I liked the dynamics and how different viewpoints were handled.
Okay, cool.
My standard's not that high, so I am like, you know what? That was decent. That was pretty good.
Right.
And I'm excited. I also watched this entirely thinking, how would a Mistborn movie work?
Okay.
So I know like this and Black Panther both start with like a fairy tale opening.
That's right. Yeah.
And so I'm also half my enjoyment is I'm imagining another movie, but
Yeah. Well. Yeah. I mean, that is when you're watching this movie, you're kind of thinking like, yeah, this could have been a slightly different movie that would have been better, but okay, it's this movie.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, let's try and judge this movie for what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so yeah. I mean, anyway, yeah. In modern day Kahndaq, these people that are sort of like freedom fighters against the imperialist forces, they come across the tomb of Black Adam, and they summon him. It's not. It's yeah.
So what happened is there's like writing, and only one lady she can read it, and she's like, it reminded me of like one of the things that in Dead Space that they kind of went like, that actually didn't happen, because it's like, oh, you find these columns and they have writing on it, and if you transcribe them, it tells you how to make this like bio living life form, but it's saying don't do this. But they didn't transcribe that part. So in Black Adam's tomb, there's writing that says, do not say these words or you'll let him out.
Right.
So so that's how she knows what words to say to let him out.
Right. And and so she says Shazam. And at a certain point in the movie, the main strategy of the Justice Society is, we need to get him to say Shazam again, because that will make him lose his powers. And this is, again, I'm not saying that there aren't things just as stupid in Marvel, but this is one thing about a lot of the DC mythos. I mean, there's Shazam. There's also I mean again, to go back to Superman, there's that character Mr. Mixelplix, whatever. And
no, you disappear.
Well, right, yeah. I mean, it's like when you say his name, like you conjure him, and like in order to get rid of him, you have to fool him into saying his name backwards.
Which is really hard to.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, how would you do that? Yeah. I think the way that they usually do it is like they like write it out and they like get him to like read something, and he's like, oh crap, yeah.
I buy that maybe worked one time.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I mean, that works exactly one time, if that. Yeah.
It's not even like, that could have, like, one word. Like, you can stop yourself saying that a couple syllables in. Mm-hmm. That's like, to get him to go away, you have to make him say the alphabet backwards.
Right.
And
exactly.
he's like, look at this, and it's like a mirror. He goes, okay, Z, X, Y. Oh, you got me.
Yeah.
It's I think they kind of are like, because they're not like because I'm like, they're going to try to trick him into saying that.
Right.
And then it turns into they're just like, say it. Mm-hmm. Just say it. And like they're like pushing him. Like,
Right.
Say Shazam.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not going to say it. You're not going to say what?
What is it? Huh? Yeah.
I was surprised by how much I liked Hawkeye or Hawkman.
Hawkman. Yeah. Hawkman. Yeah. So the Justice Society characters. I mean, just for all my Marvel heads out there, I'm gonna explain them in Marvel terms. Okay, so Hawkman, like Angel plus Moon Knight. Like he's like winged guy, but a little bit of Egyptian mythos in there. Dr. Fate, Doctor Strange, basically, although not a medical doctor. He makes that clear at one point. We have Cyclone, who is like Storm, but with only wind powers. And then Atom Smasher is Ant-Man, but with just giant powers. Okay, anyway.
Yeah. That's... Yeah, Atom Smasher is kind of generous for what his ability is.
Right.
I would allow it if his name was Adam. I'd be like...
Yeah. I mean, he's not exactly smashing at. I mean, I guess technically making yourself big, does that smash atoms?
It does the opposite.
It stretches atoms.
It stretches the blank space between atoms.
Right.
It's a cool name.
Yeah.
But they also have Adam, and he's the guy that can shrink. So there's Adam who can shrink, and then Atom Smasher who can get big.
Right. Yeah.
Ant-Man can do both and talk to ants.
That's right.
Now, the ant thing is a separate project he was doing, and he's just like, I also just like ants too. And then this guy is like, one thing, I can get really big, which I like the visuals of. I like comparing it to Giant Man that I've seen in the movies. There's little stuff that this guy does, like when a car approaches him, he kind of like goes with the momentum a little bit.
Right.
And because it's like it can't come to a complete stop.
Oh, yeah.
And I like stuff like that, where it's just like he is like... I'm like, that doesn't look like just like a liability. And it's like, okay, yeah, he like catches him, lets it go a little bit, stops it. Like he knows what he's doing. It's just like he's just never been in battle before, and they're kind of like, don't really do anything if you can get him to say Shazam, you know. But
right.
You're mostly here to just like look big.
Right.
At one point, he gets lost.
Yeah, and his uncle is Henry Winkler.
Over the phone, which is how they recorded him in the movie. Yeah,
he shows up very briefly. That's also So Henry Winkler shows up only via phone, as does Viola Davis, reprising her role as Amanda Waller. And she seems to the DCU really seems to want to like use her as like this sort of like Nick Fury character. I think she's kind of like tying things together. Yeah, but she's not in this movie much, but she makes a couple of. Yeah.
I think it's after every movie she is like foiled or like exposed to something.
Right.
So and like her plans never work. So it's like Nick Fury if he was like, Iron Man, you need to go do this, and then he just doesn't, and they're like, okay, you're in charge of Iron Man for the rest of your life.
Right.
And she's like, you better do this, and they're like, no. Every time they're like, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
What Cyclone?
Yeah, Cyclone. Yeah.
The only time I went like, she's like, oh yeah, some messed up people, experimented on me, and now I can control the wind with nanomachines.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what do you mean? What do you mean nanomachines let you control the wind?
Oh, is that it? It's not just like powers she has. It's like,
if that's the thing. If they said, "Oh, I'm a wind totem," which I thought
I missed that. Okay.
Yeah, because you just assume because that's the origin they've explained before.
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh yeah, you can control the wind." That's
Right.
fine. Like at one point they say, "Oh, this jewel lets me control the wind." Okay,
right.
She's like nanomachines.
Fine. Yeah.
It's like, and what do they do?
Mm-hmm.
What do those nanomachines do?
Right.
Do you throw them? Because that's not wind powers. You're throwing a bunch of robots at people.
Yeah.
It does look visually cool. That is.
It does, yeah.
They're like, okay, it's gonna be wind. So the wind actually doesn't look that interesting.
Right.
So they're like, we'll add like rainbows to it. I'm like, yeah, that's neat. You did what you could.
Yeah.
And they're like, we need to either get him to say his name, or we need to beat him up and take him to like jail.
Right.
Which, yeah, because when he is awoken.
That's right.
And you know, if you, when you said it's like first draft like song picks when he's woken up, and it's like, okay, Black Adam is gonna do where he's gonna have an action scene. What music can we play? Paint it black.
There you go. Why not? Yeah. I mean, that's it's like, why not just use the same song that has been in many other movies? I mean, it's that was one thing I was thinking. And I mean, and it's probably not fair to criticize just DC for doing this, but it's like, why does every movie use like the same 6 songs? It's like,
I think it's because those like the parents companies, they buy the rights every now and then, because you'll see it like that song will show up in a movie and then like a commercial,
right?
And you're like, okay, that they bought the rights and they're just like, you can use it for that, you can use it for that, like we have the rights for like another week, so like just throw
Makes
it.
Sense.
Throw it in everything. What's it called? Black Adam, Painted Black. You got that one. The world is a vampire. That should be. He's locked up in a cage. Yeah, we got that. We have that one. We bought that one. It's also going to be.
Got it.
Yeah, we got Pumped Up Kicks. We have a shoe commercial. We can put that in it. I see nothing wrong with that. Having listened to it for even 5 seconds, I can't see why that would be an inappropriate song choice.
Yeah. Well, I think I had interrupted a chain of thought you had earlier. You were saying that you liked Hawkman. And,
yeah. I thought because he's like heroes don't kill. I see that in the commercials, and I'm like, shut up. They do all the time. The Marvel heroes killed so much, and then DC they don't even have a strict rule against that. Batman does.
Yeah, Superman not so much. Yeah, Superman seems okay with,
Oh, yeah, and in the DC movies, Batman doesn't either. He's just like, I guess if I can avoid it.
It's a general guideline.
Yeah, which is not bad, which is how it should be. Like, don't set out to do it, but, like, your punch would liquefy a human.
Right.
Stuff's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But not Hawkman, who uses a magical mace as a weapon.
Yeah.
I would argue one of the deadliest weapons.
Really?
Yeah. I don't think there's many non-lethal applications of that mace.
Yeah. It does seem like it's not messing around in terms of a weapon. Yeah.
But I liked his dynamic. I like how, and it was also because he got some points. Black Adam got some points, and they kind of were like, well, I'm still not going to kill people, but like, I'll let something slide.
Sure.
Time.
Yeah.
So that's the premise. Like, what's happened with Black Adam's woken up in his kingdom,
right?
And he's like, what?
Yeah, and everybody's like, yay, Black Adam, we got our own hero finally. But the Justice Society's like, nah, sorry.
The second he wakes up.
Right. Yeah. The second. Yeah.
They're like, well, you have to stop him, and like, who did he kill? Oh, like invaders. Okay, well that's it's the American government. Well, that's bad. We can't. Right, we can't just let people do that.
No.
Cannot stress enough that is bad to do.
Yeah, we've got to police them. Yeah.
They're probably doing their best.
Right.
Yeah. Then they fight. I really liked Dr. Fate.
Dr. Fate was cool. Yeah. I had no idea that Pierce Brosnan was going to be in this movie, and it's like, oh wow, yeah, yeah. So that was cool. Yeah, and he seems like an interesting character. Yeah, seems very sort of thoughtful, and yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff that could be done with him. A little bit of which is done in this movie, but yeah.
Well, and there is the issue because it's like, oh yeah. The guy is a different thing than the helmet. So whoever puts the helmet on is Dr. Fate. And the character explicitly says, it's like it possesses the person.
Right.
Which does not happen in any version in the story where anyone touches it or does anything. When he puts it on, he's still him.
Yeah, he seems to be in control. Yeah, and it's unclear. Yeah, I mean, DC... in their efforts to sort of replicate Marvel's success, they do some things, but they forget about other things. Like they just throw all these characters in, but they don't do such a good job of like introducing the characters and showing why the character is important. I mean, like, what sort of little I know about DC. I am familiar with Hawkman and Dr. Fate a little bit, so it's like, okay, oh, cool, all right, these characters are in here. But if you're coming into this movie like a blank slate, it's like, yeah, I don't even know who these characters are. Why should I care about them? Yeah, so... Well,
you're not. You're here for Black Adam. These guys
are
getting more focus than I think they're supposed to, but I enjoyed it.
Sure,
And also, I favor the scenes with him over the scenes I've seen with Doctor Strange. Which one of Dr. Fate's abilities is making clones, and I think there's a very neat comparison that you can make where in Doctor Strange when he makes clones, which I remember being in theaters, and he made a bunch of clones, and people were like, "Oh, yeah!" And he does it to like throw like a rope at a guy, Thanos,
yeah,
for 10 seconds,
yeah,
and then it just doesn't work, and he never does it again, whereas in this he does it, and it's the thing he does often. It's one of his abilities he uses.
Right.
And it felt satisfying because, like, you would see them start getting punched out by Black Adam and dying, and then just more come in. And then there's also the thing, well, one of those is the real him, and one of those could get hit. And they did a really fun visual thing where, like, his helmet's reflection would be off one of his copies. And then the camera would like show like, oh, that's another Dr. Fate watching that, and now he's coming over. And I was like, this is very fun, and I like this. And I like with Doctor Strange when I'm watching him, I'm like, I feel like I'm supposed to be impressed with what's happening.
Right.
When they're like, look, I can make the buildings. There's like 4 buildings now, and I'm like, I feel like that's impressive. I feel like that's supposed to be cool.
Right.
But I don't.
But yeah, it doesn't look quite as cool as the Dr. Fate stuff.
And he's like, look what I can do.
Right.
It's a sword. And you're like, you're gonna what are you gonna do, wizard? I'm gonna stab him. That's awesome. You're gonna hit him. Okay.
Right.
Dr. Fate, he does lasers and stuff. I like it. I like the visual. I like that his gloves look shiny. His cape is shiny.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Watch this for Dr. Fate.
Yeah, definitely a highlight. Yeah.
Okay. We should probably just talk about spoilers, I guess.
Okay.
We've actually been
Spoiler
talking.
time.
I forget how easy it is to just talk.
Yeah.
So in our Discord, which we have by the way, link below, people will sometimes be like. I've been thinking about checking out this book. How do you feel about it? And I'm like, well, we have an episode on, they're like, I'm going to read Hyperion. I'm like, well, we have an episode on that, but I'll just reiterate how I feel about it.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I don't like the opening. Yeah, Rumham, longtime guy. He's like, I don't really like the opening of Hyperion. And I'm like, I know. I agree with you. It's pretty rough, but stick with it. Join the Discord. I am just there all the time. Friday night, I got nothing better to do.
And he tells me what people say, so
I keep him updated.
So through him, you're communicating with me as well. So yeah.
And speaking of, we've actually gotten a bunch of comments.
Oh, great!
So let's start with the Weepsty Boys, who I guess we're kind of partnered with, in the sense that I'm not paying them, but they are doing labor for me. And Duncan.
Thank you.
Oh no, I'll read the thing I just said actually. By Weepsy Boys. That Cody guy's a stud. That thumbnail though. Okay, well that's clearly Bulls01 who typed that. Very flirty guy.
Yeah.
And then Tiberius says next pay-per-view: huge werewolf guy versus huge Marvel guy. Mud wrestle. I don't know what you're talking about, but werewolf wins every time, especially in the mud.
Yeah, it depends on who the other big Marvel guy is.
Actually, most Marvel people would win in a mud fight.
Yeah.
Oh, and here's one from Will, the unofficial member of the podcast.
Oh, great.
I'm gonna not swear. Thank you very much. Dang, is there anyone Duncan wasn't friends with?
No. I see the answer. No. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So comment below. Comment Shazam, and that's how we'll get them.
Yeah.
Comment Shazam below. Say it out loud. It's funner to use voice text
Mm-hmm.
to comment Shazam, or Mr. Mixelic pick backwards.
Yep.
As a fun bit, just say it out loud.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah. Okay, we're just gonna talk about everything now.
Okay. Yeah, so Dr. Fate is the most interesting character in this movie, and he dies. So
yeah,
I don't know why that happens. I mean, obviously it happens to give some weight to what happens at the end, and it's like, okay, but
yeah, the ending was like, I don't think I was like, because he goes to jail.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, okay, I'll say the word, because he hurt someone.
Right.
And then he's like, okay, I'm like, what did I miss? Did I like black out?
Mm-hmm.
Did I black Adam out? Why is he just went to jail now? Okay, I get, he had a kid, which we'll talk about that bit.
Yeah,
but,
that reveal was pretty underwhelming to me. It was just like, oh, yeah. Towards the end of the movie, you find out that, Black Adam wasn't actually the kid. He was actually the father of the kid. And the kid actually gave his father the powers to save him. And, I don't know. It wasn't exactly clear to me why that was significant or why that mattered at all.
It matters when you live in the world of comic books where that's been the established thing. But like when you're when you're watching it though, it's like, okay, because we didn't really see him that much.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But it is like, okay. And to its credit, it handles the issue of like, so the Wizards were just wrong? And it's like, no, they weren't. They picked the right guy. Mm-hmm. But like, they're like, oh yeah, you're not supposed to be Black Adam.
Right.
And he's like, I am, and I'm going to kill you. And they're like, do we have a plan if the guy says that? And
right.
they're like, no. They're like, hit him with a laser or something. Mm-hmm. Being wizards, they can't use like eldritch tentacles or... Right.
And, and so the Wizards pick the right guy, but if that right guy then goes and picks a wrong guy, they have no defense against that.
They didn't think that far ahead. They did. He figured out he could, or they told him, by the way, in an emergency, you can give this ability to someone else.
Yeah, but don't actually do that, or just like vet them to make sure they're good.
Well, they're like, we gave you the wisdom of Solomon,
right. Well, no, it's the the names. Yeah, so like with regular Shazam,
Solomon wouldn't have done that.
It's the names of mostly Greek guys, although also Solomon, who's Hebrew. But then this version of Shazam, the names are all Egyptian gods, and so it's the wisdom of Shu, and then it's something with Horus, and I'm out with my knowledge of Egyptian gods.
I'm willing to say the speed of Horus.
Speed of Horus, maybe. Yeah.
And wisdom. I feel at this point they need to drop that's one of the abilities they get. They need to, because they're like, he gets the speed of that guy,
right,
and the strength of that guy, and I'm like, he does. I see it happening, and they're like, and the wisdom of that guy, and in no situation has he ever used the wisdom of anyone.
That's true.
Not Shazam, not Black Adam.
That's right. Yeah. The character of Shazam in the movie, at least, is not portrayed as especially wise. No, yeah.
And Shazam gets even dumber when he uses the power.
Right. Yeah.
So, unless the moral is that the true wisdom in life is to just have fun.
Yeah, the true wisdom is to just go, hands, lightning with my hands.
Yeah, maybe that's what Solomon would have done.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe the wizards once again chose wrong.
Right.
Who's to use what of what? Maybe they shouldn't have used his wisdom.
Right. By the way, the wizard that gives the powers, that was originally who was named Shazam. It was the wizard that was named Shazam, and then he gives it to Captain Marvel, but then Marvel sued them, and so they had to change the name to Shazam. But anyway, so now the wizard, who appears briefly in this movie, played by Jaimin Hansu. I just
knew that.
Yeah. I noticed in the credits that he is credited as Wizard.
Not Shazam.
Yeah, not as Shazam, not as like, Chief Wizard, just Wizard.
Because there's a bunch of them too. Are the others just like Wizard too?
I'm not sure if the others are even credited. Yeah.
Or they are, but they're given like their actual names. Like, I didn't know that was that guy's name.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that guy played. Who was Horus? When did Horus show up?
Yeah.
Shu. The wizard with the green beam that got like just killed by one hit. Like they don't even have like resistance. Black Adam killed like 4 of them just like within seconds.
Right.
The main wizard's the one who's like, you're going to jail for like a long time. You just killed my entire council of wizards. You can't do that.
Right.
I can't kill you or take your powers away, but I can put you in prison. And I'm going to write right here, just so anyone knows, don't say these words or you'll let them out. That way people know not to say those words. Because
that's right.
They could say it by accident.
Yeah. Because, I mean, if we just wrote nothing on there, that wouldn't work. We have to specifically write what we don't want people to do to ensure that they don't do it.
Truly the wisdom of Solomon.
That's right.
Well, the thing is, he gave that power to the other guy. So he gave up his wisdom. So he's just like, he doesn't have the wisdom to know, if you don't write that, there's no way to revive him.
Right.
That got me. That was a fun bit. I'm having fun.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I'm having fun here. Unlike how I felt in the theater.
It really is the Dr. Fate movie. And if you look at it like that, fantastic. He's like, I'm immortal. I'm kind of... I see death like constantly.
Yeah.
I'm kind of because it was like that scene was awesome. Didn't really make any sense outside of him like being like, I kind of want to die.
Right.
And maybe doing this will change reality, will change the future I see. Because in every future he sees Hawkman get like stuck on a pole.
Right.
And you're like, oh, Black Adam's going to shove a pole in him. But it's not what happened.
Right.
Yeah. Awesome fight scene where, we find, mandatory. You have to have the villain be the guy, but like bad. So he's Sabak.
Right. Sabak. That's right. Yeah.
Who's like a devil guy. Who's, he's like, oh, I need to be killed for my powers. They're like, I read it backwards.
Yeah, that was a somewhat clever twist. Is that this guy like lures Black Adam and has the like magic crown, and then Black Adam just kills him. And I will admit that I was fooled. I was like, oh, he just killed him. So that's the end of that guy. But yeah, it turns out he needed to be killed in order to get the power. So yeah, that part was a clever twist.
And I did like the setup for it's like, oh, why does the villain always show up? Like, the hero shows up, and then like a villain who like has similar abilities also just shows up.
Right.
They were directly linked. And so the guy trying to become the villain was there with that part. He's like, oh, I need this to happen for this to happen too.
Sure. Yeah,
so, it's like, in Spider-Man, love the first one. But it's like he gets bit by a spider. And also Norman, like, when he got a bunch of gas in him. And
right.
And like on the same night.
Yeah. What are the odds? Yeah.
And that usually they just do that. Iron Man, the guy's like, I made a suit too. I figured it out.
Right.
Mostly. I'm gonna beat you up now. And you're like, that doesn't make any sense. But
right.
You know, this one, it's like he's like this was all his plan. Maybe except for her saying Shazam, because I think he just needed the crown. The crown is made of Eternium, and so that element actually powers the villain, not the hero.
Right. Okay.
But he's not a hero.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, that the crown powers the anti-villain, not the anti-hero.
Yeah, who's not a villain.
That's right.
I'm not a villain.
That's right.
I'm going to summon the Legions of Heck, which is like 10 skeletons.
Yeah.
Who can be hit with like a baseball bat.
Right. Yeah. There is a part in this, where there's zombies.
I'll grant
briefly.
you.
Yeah.
2,000 years ago, probably very like threatening. But like maybe less so because swords were probably more common too.
Right. But yeah, in this day and age, it's like zombies again.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's like, well, because it amounts to the kid being like, hey, let's just fight back.
Right.
And they're like,
oh yeah.
And they're like, oh yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah. Let's
they fight for about 2 minutes and they
rally the troops. Yeah.
Not the they don't all the paramilitary that's been invading them. I think they're just gone.
Right.
Or they didn't do anything when they actually needed them. Again, a ridiculous thing.
Right.
It's almost like they're just there for like resources or something. The evil, like some sort of evil empire.
Right.
The devil guy summons skeletons while Dr. Fate fights him, and Hawkeye's like, no, I wanted to Hawkman.
Yeah.
Hawkman. Black Adam's in jail because he's like, I hurt that kid.
Right.
There's the neat thing, like, why does he talk to this guy? It's like, oh, that clearly reminds him of his son, so he's got a soft spot. That was neat. That made I believe that this is all happening.
Yeah, that was a good dynamic. Yeah.
He's like, you need a catchphrase, and I'm like, I believe, very Terminator 2. Which is crazy, by the way, that in Terminator 2, he's like, you need a catchphrase, like, I don't know, hasta la vista. And now people just say that.
Right.
People quote that for decades. They're like, hasta la vista, baby. Remember his catchphrase? Like that. That was like an offhanded remark that should be his catchphrase.
Right.
And he says it once, and they're like,
yeah.
So iconic. I'm like, I don't get how that works.
Right.
Also, that I'll be back thing. He just says it totally normally.
Right. I mean, it was much like, the first appearance of the Silver Surfer, the caption says, "There's a character flying through the cosmos who, for lack of a better name, we will call the Silver Surfer." But then that is his name.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It was crazy. Yeah.
So that was like an editor's note.
I mean, that was just to give a little more of the story. Yeah, I mean, Stan Lee, he would just give Jack Kirby a general outline of what he wanted, and that was a story where Galactus comes to take over the Earth, and then Jack Kirby comes back, and then he draws that, but then he also draws this other character, and Stan Lee's like, who's this other character? This guy on this surfboard? And he's like, oh yeah, that's like his servant. So yeah, Stan Lee literally. He's credited as the co-creator of Silver Surfer, but he literally didn't even include it in his story outline. Jack Kirby just completely invented that character.
I'll draw this guy
out of whole cloth.
This is the Silver Surfer.
Yeah, and Stanley's like, oh, okay, well, the Silver Surfer, whatever. Yeah, and so that was how the character was created.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that's not a bigger guy for the surfing community.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there are surfboards that are branded that or not.
Is it because having silver metallic surfboards wouldn't work? You can there's got to be silver paint or something.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they exist.
They'd probably be scalding hot, but you're in the water. Solid metal, a 70-pound surfboard, but it's is that you're like the Silver Surfer, and people are like, yeah.
Yeah.
Just like what's his name? Do you know his real name?
The Silver Surfer's real name? Norrin Rad.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh, I know a lot about the Silver Surfer. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Which we're probably getting the Doctor Doom movie.
The Doctor Doom movie. Wow.
Yeah.
From your lips to God's ears.
Yeah. He's like, just take me to jail. I'll say the magic word. You guys can do whatever you want with my country. I guess I'm done. and he while Dr. Fate's fighting Satan,
Right.
Sabak, he's also like, hey, Black Adam, we were wrong. You need to get out. I can undo the restraints a little bit, but you're gonna have to do a lot of the heavy lifting.
Right.
And he beats up a bunch of guards, which it was kind of neat in the sense where you see him get hit and it looks like it hurts.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, Black Adam is one of these characters that's like so powerful. That's like, yeah. I mean, actually, there was controversy because I think Dwayne Johnson said that like Black Adam could beat Superman, and like everybody got really upset about that. He
could. Superman's weakness, his only weakness is magic and kryptonite.
I mean, from watching this movie, it seems like no, I think he could beat Superman.
Yeah. If he just hit him with lightning, that's all. It was like, because Superman's thing, he doesn't even know how to box.
Right.
So like, if you are on the same level as him, you are now just fighting a guy.
That's right. Yeah, that's why Muhammad Ali beat Superman.
Yeah.
You know that comic? Yeah.
He didn't even have like a kryptonite leaded boxing. It was just like
Superman's like, okay, I'm not going to use my powers at all. It's just boxing skill. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and he's like, he just gets beat up.
Yeah, Muhammad Ali beats him. Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah.
Was it for like charity or why do you do
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's for charity. Yeah.
It's like that where he just made like a video calling out Superman, being like, I like what Conor McGregor was doing. You put me and him in the ring, no abilities, guarantee you.
Yeah.
I beat him up. And he was right.
Yeah.
Good for it. That's cool.
Yeah. It's a cool comic. Yeah.
He also, this prison's at the bottom of the Antarctic Ocean, and he does get out, and I'm like, he's magically being maintained. That's fine.
Right.
And he's like, and they're like, just say the word, say Shazam again, you'll get your abilities back.
Right.
And he does. So you get your like, I'm Black Adam no more. You get that little moment.
Well, he's Adam Teth no more.
Adam Teth.
Yeah, because throughout the entire movie, he is never referred to as Black Adam until the very end. He's referred to as Adam Teth.
And the kid keeps saying, you need a more catchy name. Right. And the whole time I'm just, I'm like, you can't be this cheesy. You're not going to end on like not saying your name and cut into the title screen, are you? You're not going to do that because it's not even that big of a name change.
No. Not really. No.
But I'll give it credit for why they called him that, because he's like, you should have a catchphrase like, tell him the man in black sent you.
Oh, yeah.
So he's like, okay, well, I'm the man in black.
Right.
My name's still Adam. I'm not changing that.
Right.
It's still Adam. So Teth means something.
Yeah. Yeah, it's unclear what language that is. I mean, it sounds Egyptian, but yeah.
And you know what? And they're doing a thing where that joke where he like tries actually doing the catchphrase, and he does it the wrong timing, and they're like, you can't say it before they die, or they won't hear it. Right. I was actually like, this is charming.
That's funny. Yeah.
And then when he actually says it at the end, I was like, that was actually cool.
Yeah.
So I'm still like, I'm like watching this the whole time, just putting my finger up. I'm talking like the guy next to me, and I'm like, what do you guys on a date? That's cool. But that was actually pretty good. Yeah. That was neat. I'm here for it. I'm crying when Dr. Fate dies because he's like, I cannot bear to see another friend die, and I'm like, right. Good stuff. He fights Satan, and then there's the.
Yeah, he sits on the throne, and then he says, "It doesn't feel right." So.
Yeah. That was neat. He was like,
smashes him. Yeah.
The Atom Smasher should be his name.
There you go.
They had to have a guy named Atom Smasher there to justify him not making his name that.
That's right. Yeah, it's taken. Yeah,
that's the plot. I think just like the plot. Highlight scenes. I did like how Hawkman holds his own. Like they don't see. I thought they were just going to get thrown around. Because it's like DC has I would say, a bigger issue with power scaling than Marvel does.
Yeah.
Because,
I think that's right. Yeah.
And like watching this, I'm like, okay, so they could have taken him on. Right. Like they actually could have, but they're not that effective of a team. The ones that aren't always working together. And then, Hawkman does. He's like, you can't kill them, and then also he's like, you can't interrogate them if they're dead. There was a funny bit where he's like throws a guy in the air. He's like, bring him in so we can question him, and you just see him like splat on the ground.
Right.
I'm like, that's funny, and it brings up a good point to like, yeah, we can talk to them.
Right.
We have like a wizard, or not a wizard. We have a sorcerer. No, yeah, he is a wizard. We have Dr. Fate.
Yeah, Dr. Fate is a sorcerer, I think. Yeah, because he's using power not his own.
You're right.
Okay.
You're right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Right.
He's a sorcerer.
Okay.
Yeah. And he can like do mind stuff. So bring him in.
Right.
Which he's like, you should have told him that.
Yeah.
And then there's a funny bit where they're fighting, and then Dr. Fate's like, I'm not gonna get involved here. He's already like seen the future where they work together, so he's kind of like this. They're gonna do this, and then they'll. The hour and a half mark, we'll wrap this up.
Right.
Oh, I'm gonna like kill myself or.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so yeah. Overall, I mean, there's some good parts of this movie, but yeah, for me there was a few too many just like fight scenes that were really extended. There were a lot of cool ideas in the movie and a lot of cool characters. Like, Hawkman is cool, and it's like, okay, he's here and he's important, and it's like, okay, yes, I want to believe he's important. The actor is good, but you have not quite laid the groundwork for him to actually. It's like, okay, who is Hawkman? Like what is his deal? And yeah.
And I think I just realized something, because. Dr. Fate's like, I'm immortal and I can't bear to see you die.
Right.
And you're going to die in the future.
Right. Mm-hmm.
The thing is, you know nothing about Hawk. Because he has another ability that is not brought up, which is he's also immortal.
Right.
And he has resurrective immortality.
Okay.
So every time he dies, he's like reborn.
Okay.
So, and then like Hawkgirl is the same.
Uh-huh.
And then they're like in love in some iterations. Sometimes they never meet each other, and it's like a tragedy or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So if Dr. Fate knew that, he probably wouldn't have... Because he's like, I can't bear to see another friend die. He's like, oh yeah, that's like one guy whose ability is he can't die.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, if you know that background about Hawkman, then yeah, what Dr. Fate does is...
kind of
makes even less sense. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's one of those things. Oh, okay. So because I'm like, why aren't they bringing that up?
Right.
Oh, that would make this even sillier.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, because it's like he would have been like, oh, and then you'd be, he's like, it's me, Hawkman again, and it's cyberpunk this time.
Right.
And my wings are like metallic.
Okay, so like when he resurrects, he takes like a different form.
Actually, like not the way I said it, but like it is like kind of like when he was in Egypt during Black Adam's time. So like
right.
There's a lot they could have done with that.
He might have known him. Yeah, they might have gone to high school together.
And in fact, I think they did know each other.
Okay.
And I think it's that same thing where you see like the original Black Adam. It was like robes and stuff. And then because this Black Adam was like mean, he got like a black suit. So like so Hawkman would have looked like more Egyptian, and then as time goes on, it's kind of like, hey, robots are like maybe being a thing. You got to get like maybe it could like spin and stuff. And
right. Yeah. I knew there was some sort of Egyptian background to Hawkman. Yeah, because he's like kind of like Horus a little bit, like because that's like the hawk god of Egyptian mythology, right?
He's one of the best characters, and they didn't really go into a lot of the stuff that would have made him really cool. Atom Smasher and Cyclone are nice.
Yeah, they're nice as the like younger generation to like play off of the older guys. Yeah.
Story-wise, they're not really supposed. They are supposed to be background,
right?
But they're like, oh, the situation is getting kind of bad. We need you, and they're kind of proving their worth,
right?
Which is neat. But yeah, I'm like, yeah, it didn't really stand out. Atom Smasher mentioned the one time, oh, I have to eat a lot, like my metabolism, like to grow.
Right.
It's like with it's like the Flash. Like, I need to eat a lot to run faster than death. You need to eat like. If you said nothing, I wouldn't have had a question. Be like, oh, my metabolism faster. How much faster? Right. How fast does it have to be to outrun your own self, who became death? Oh, you eat like an everything pizza. That does it? Okay.
Wait. So Flash created death? Is that Reverse Flash?
No.
Okay, that's another character.
That's
okay.
Black Flash, otherwise known as.
Yeah.
I think it's not Speed Racer. I think it is just the Grim Racer or something like that.
Okay.
But yeah, Death is he's like the Speed Force thing, and it's like, oh no, Speed Force users have their own Grim Reaper, which is the Black Flash guy, who is Barry Allen from a future where he went so fast he became Death. Okay. And then Barry Allen from another future outran Death itself, so he couldn't die. It's pretty stupid. I mean, maybe if you like the Flash, you're like, that's awesome. I don't know. But I'm like, it doesn't make it. And then he's gonna fight, Captain Boomerang.
Well, I prefer more straightforward stuff like Marvel that has a character like Kang, who is also Immortus and Ramatut and the Scarlet Centurion, and yeah, okay.
And sometimes he's Reed Richards' grandson.
Right. Yeah, and sometimes he's related to Doctor Doom. Yeah.
Because he's time-wise, he can be anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's. I think I've said everything I have to say about Black Adam.
Okay. Yeah.
Overall, I recommend it. It's a fun watch.
Yeah, I'm afraid I can't quite recommend it.
Okay.
If you're a fan of the character anyway, you might like the movie. But yeah, as a just superhero movie, it doesn't quite rise to the level of a good one. It has some good elements, but I can say it's the second best DC superhero movie with Dwayne Johnson in it this year.
What was the other one?
The first one being The League of Super Pets. So, check out that movie.
Okay. Well, if you don't like this movie, check out League of Super Pets. Maybe that's more your speed. Also, we can talk about the end credit scene.
The end credit scene, yes.
Here's the thing. It's only a reveal if you're interested in the DCU politics. Because in universe, that's not a reveal.
Yeah. I mean, so the reveal is basically just Superman comes and it's like, hey, let's talk. I mean, literally, I think that's,
that's
like what he says. Yeah.
And so like that matters to you if you're like, oh, Henry Cavill's not going to be Superman anymore. And so the reveal.
Oh, okay.
The reveal is they got the actor back, but in universe, you're like, yeah, that's what Superman would do, I guess.
Right. Oh, okay. So the big reveal for other people is the fact that they got Henry Cavill to do this one thing, even though he's not going to be in any DC movie ever again.
They're getting him back.
Okay.
So
they will get him back.
The reveal is they got an actor that was in the movies back to be in the movies again.
Right.
So if you don't know that, you're like, oh, it's Superman. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
He was in like a bunch of movies.
Right.
He's not wearing the black suit anymore.
Here's the reveal. We actually successfully renegotiated his contract.
People are like,
yeah. Whereas they may not have done that with Pierce Brosnan, so maybe that's why that happened to Dr. Fate in this movie.
He's like, well, he's like, if not, he'll come out of the helmet or something. We had a time copy, or that wasn't. Yeah, there's a lot we can do.
Right.
But so they're probably just like, do you like that? You want to like keep doing this?
Right.
It's probably. I think the fact that he's the highlight.
Yeah. It's like, okay, we have this really cool character. We got this great actor to do it. So, are you willing to do a bunch of movies? No, just one. Okay. Well. All right, that's what we got to work with. Yeah.
Okay, you'll have like a heroic sacrifice.
Yeah.
For some reason, rough draft, you just sort of decide to, but we'll work that out.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out in post.
Right.
That's all I have to say about that.
As do I.
All right, Duncan, take us away. Say Mr. Mixelic pick backwards.
Okay, sick click 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 click. Here he comes. Oh no, I did the opposite of what I wanted to do.